welcome back to TEW Impact. We are finally here. Final resolution 2022, last big show of the year. Just gonna go ahead and apologize for getting this out so late. I know I said I wanted to get this out by the before the end of the year. Um, I got sick again. Not major. I didn't get COVID, thankfully. Um, but I know Christmas Day. Well, like I had all my Christmases either Christmas Eve or before, so I had Christmas Day free, and I planned on recording, but I started feeling like a sore throat, and I'm like maybe I shouldn't record, maybe I'll just let it pass, and then just from then on out till basically about a couple days ago, I was I either had a sore throat. Sore throat didn't last too long, but I was like blowing my nose constantly, uh, and coughing quite a bit. So, no real sense in recording because I would probably have to like stop every couple minutes just to blow my nose. No way I'm gonna edit all that out. Um, but yeah, like I said, like what today's Monday, like Saturday was like the first day. Well, like you take from Christmas Day to, that whole week, and then basically all last week, which I had to start work. So I had to start work after New Year's, on the second, um, until basically Saturday, like I said, was like the first day where I wasn't like constantly blowing my nose every like 10, 15 minutes or, coughing. So, be careful out there. Stuff's going around. I know a lot of people I saw online at COVID. Um, Basically, someone in like everyone in my family got something of some sort. We didn't. I don't think any of us got COVID, but like I was sick. My sisters were sick. My mom got RSV. She thought she had pneumonia again. She seems to get like pretty much since like the pandemic, she gets like pneumonia around this time every year. So stuff's still going around. Mask up if you gotta. I'm lucky enough that I, still work at home. I live in a out in the middle of nowhere, so I'm not around a ton of people. So, but yeah, and even so, like when I was on, Christmas, I'm thinking like, well, if I'm getting a cold, it'll only last maybe a couple days or so. Nope, 2 weeks. So, people getting caught, getting sick, and getting sick longer. So, um, like even when I had COVID, like the worst of it was like a couple days, and then I had like the after effects, for about a week or so. But like this was just like constant, just nose blowing for 2 weeks, and like it could have been worse, but it definitely wasn't fun. So that's why it's now like a week into the new year, then we got final resolution finally out. So uh let's just go into it. I got a little bit of news before we start the show. All right, so our impact numbers for the episode a couple days ago: BTI zero point zero 0.01 as always for TV. Overall rating 34, down from a 38. Impact TV rating 0.37, down from a 0.40. Overall rating of 47, down from a 50. And attendance 350, up from 328. So while on the surface we've gone down in everything other than attendance, we are also coming down from like previous highs. So like our 0.40 was our highest rating for the last couple of weeks. We dropped down to a 0.37, which, for the most part still would count. You know, we topped out at like 0.36 or 0.35 for a while, so 0.37 still pretty good for us. 47 still, pretty decent for us. Like our 50, what was like or one of our biggest show, like best rated impacts that we've done so far. So definitely like the best TV rating, and our attendance is slowly going up. So, we'll see how that lasts. Um, Regarding our, that's, their sticking point regarding our, losing our Southeast regional battles, but at least we're up instead of down. Um, a little bit of Impact news before final resolution. We had a backstage incident, and it was Ian Riccaboni drawing cartoons. So, uh, since since morale's been really good, pretty much this whole game, I haven't had like any negative backstage incidents this game that affected like immediate booking. The only negatives have been like, oh, someone was at wrestler's court and had to, pay a fine or whatever. Otherwise, it's someone's doing cartoons or, and then the last couple, you know, weeks or so, we've had people wanting to put other people over, which is like the best thing we've gotten so far. We haven't really gotten any, like straight up like mentorship relationships we haven't really got, but then we also really have gone the other end and haven't been like, oh well, someone no showed or someone, no one's been popped for drugs, but I also don't think I test for hard drugs, so either way, like nothing's really been, everything's just been, smooth sailing as far as backstage morale. Um, PCO has officially retired from in-ring competition, but he's still on our roster, still available as a road agent and a manager. In fact, I have been using him as a road agent um, the past couple weeks. Basically, since his last match, I've been filling him in here and there as a road agent, and he's done pretty well. So that's probably where he will stay with us. Speaking of road agents, Madison Rain has entered the final month of her contract. We haven't been using her on screen, but we have been using her as a road agent as well, so I will likely renew her contract. Basically, our female road agents have been Gail Kim, Madison Rain, and now Sarah Stock. They've all done pretty well for us. So yeah, Madison Rain will probably be still with us, just probably not on TV, but whatever. But that's it for Impact. Let's go to Final Resolution. I've been kind of worried. Like I booked the show and the show like from top to bottom, like it I wouldn't say top to bottom great, but it was really hard to like find a pacing, especially near the end. I didn't want to have like, you know, you want like a breather before the end of the show, but there was really no like breather type of matches I could put near the end. But that's also what I said about Bound for Glory, and Bound for Glory ended up bombing, and we're also running back the same uh main event as Bound for Glory, so we'll see, but I have high hopes, especially with the recent run of, good business we've been doing the last couple weeks regarding Impact and TV. I'm hoping that'll carry over to our pay-per-views. So, let's go. All right, so we're starting off the pre-show for Final Resolution with Knockouts Tag Team action. We got the fairly new team of Rosemary and Zhao defeating Savannah Evans and Janai Kai in 10 minutes. Rosemary pinning Savannah Evans. Basically, Zhao Zia coming to Rosemary's backup on Impact the last episode. Um, Basically, gonna run these two as a team. We had run them once before and they had excellent chemistry. So now that, Rosemary not necessarily in title contention for the Knockouts title, and Xiaozia having just lost her digital media title, should be a good team. Like I said, they have excellent chemistry, so we're gonna give them a run, and hopefully they will do well for us. And this is the beginning. Them defeating Savannah and Janai Kai of the Nasty Women Assassins after them having a couple weeks, beating Rosemary up a couple weeks ago backstage. But Xiaozia 36, Rosemary 40, Janai 27, Savannah 26. So pretty standard for these two, putting them on the pre-show and just getting Rosemary and Zhao established as a team. Segment rating of 37, so a decent start for our pre-show. We go backstage where we see Team AAA, it sounds, or at least, near their locker room, if you will, they were getting ready for uh, the World X Cup, which will culminate tonight later on. But chaos is reigning here because once the dust seems to settle, the camera like pushes their way into view, pushes their way past a few bodies of luchadors. Commander looks to be laid out backstage. Commander maybe clutching his knee or his foot or something. Not quite. Uh, Something happened. We don't know. But Commander like clutching his knee. The rest of Team AAA trying, you just hear just over, Spanish speaking and yelling um over each other. Eventually D'Lo Brown runs up and he's like, "What's going on? I keep hearing everything. I'm hearing what's happening." And he sees Commander laid out, but clutching his knee or whatever. Uh, and D'Lo's like, "Do you think you'll be able to go?" And Commander, you just kind of hear like, "No, no, no," like and amongst his Spanish, you could just kind of hear like, "No," and he's just like clenched, like grabbing at his whatever's been injured, and uh he's just like D'Lo's just like looking around, and he's like, "Well, I guess that's why we have a alternate." Gotita de Blata was, earlier in the month or earlier in the World X Cup, lost a match, but that, didn't kick him off the team. He was, subbed in as an alternate. And wow, lo and behold, they have a need for an alternate. So, Laredo Kid should be in there. I think I kind of screwed something up, but Mascara Dorada, Astrolux, Gotita de Plata are back there. Laredo Kid should probably be back there as well. And D'Lo is just kind of like looking at Gotita like, well, we have, you're the alternate for the reason, I guess. And, are you ready? Can you go tonight? And Gotita, and, they probably have to translate for each other. And Gotita's like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. See, see. And so Commander out, Gotita de Plata in. We don't know necessarily how that's going to work because we don't have, with the chaos that was caused by Aussie Open not being available for Impact, the determination of the X Cup finals is up in the air, and of course, this throws a further wrench into any plans that might have been had. So, luckily, this is happening on the pre-show, so we'll have time to sort for at least D'Lo to sort that out. But a segment rating of 25 for that. Um, but yeah, D'Lo Brown, Commander out, Gotita de Plata in, and wherever that puts the World X Cup, we'll find out later on. We got an 8-man tag, uh, for made at Impact, and it's Nick Aldis and Joe Hendry, Nick Stapp CPA, and the board defeating the Maria KaneLLC group of Michael Bennett, Black Taurus, Matthew Rehwoldt, and Steve Maclin in 10 minutes. Nick Aldis pinning Michael Bennett with a spine shaker. So, Nick and Michael have been having their troubles recently. And then also these groups of three have also not, more so the Black Taurus and Matthew Rehwoldt and Steve Maclin antagonizing the likes of Joe Hendry, Nick Stapp, and the Boar, which caused Nick Aldis to uh, be their backup, if you will, maybe take charge, get them in shape, challenge Michael Bennett and the rest of the crew, and it worked out for them. So Nick Aldis beating Michael Bennett. We are ending both the storylines regarding Nick Aldis and Michael Bennett, and then the 6-man story. Only the wife guy's storyline gained heat, but both of them are ending. Maria Kanellis did some good work at ringside. She's not there, but she's Michael Bennett's manager, so she's gonna be there. But technically, she's not there. She's still off screen from her quote unquote retirement match. But we got Boar with a 23, Nick Stapp with a 23, Joe with a 39, Nick Aldis with a 38, Steve Backlund with 36, Rehwoldt with 37, Black Spruce with 37, Michael Bennett with a 44. So Michael Bennett, you know, having the most talent out of all these, the Boar and Nick Stapp, still learning. Surprisingly, Joe Hendry doing better than just about everyone else in the match. So maybe we should be pushing Joe Hendry towards something else, but I kind of like this group and want to see what I can do with them. They're definitely like a low level group, but maybe Joe Hendry will be able to pick these guys up. But yeah, as far as the feuds are going, those are done, like I said. But a segment rating of 39, so not a bad start or continuation at least for our pre-show. And then we go elsewhere backstage. So D'Lo Brown is kind of like pacing back and forth. He's shuffling papers. He's got a clipboard. He's shuffling papers. He's trying to figure out what to do regarding the World X Cup. He's like talk kind of overheard to himself, and like he's mumbling to himself like, "Oh man, just like the World X Cup has been such a mess. Like any plans I had are now screwed. The Team Mexico. Thankfully, they had a alternate. But who knows what would have happened with them? And eventually, Petey Williams comes up and interrupts him, and D'Lo or Petey's like, "Hey, well, what gives? Like, show's gonna start any minute now. Where's my guys? Where's TDT? I've been trying to get a hold of them. I can't get a hold of them all day. They're not here. They're not in the show." And then D'Lo's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I've been so busy trying to clean up the mess you and your guys caused on Impact regarding Aussie Open." And Petey's like, "Oh, how'd you figure that out?" And eventually, Mike Bailey also walks up, and D'Lo's like, "Well, I've had some information fed to me by someone you know willing to do the right thing, willing to be honest about what happened, and he told me everything he heard about how you were behind TDT screwing with Aussie Open's travel plans, the reason why they weren't on Impact, the reason why they're not here today. So I told them to stay home. They are suspended. And I'm sorry to say, you guys don't have a team. I'm going to have to disqualify Team Canada from the World X Cup. You can't have a team with just you two." And PD's like going ape shit now. He's like, "I can't believe this. Like, I came back for the World X Cup. This is my thing. You can't disqualify me from my thing." And eventually he turns to Mike Bailey. He's like, this is all your fault. Like, you didn't believe in Team Canada at all, and you know you ratted me out, blah blah blah. And Mike's like, "Hey, I for one thing, I'm just trying to do the right thing here. Secondly, you know, you came to me. I didn't want to be on Team Canada in the first place. And also, you're telling me I don't believe in Team Canada. Any of the points we had were caused by me. I got any of the points that we got. You can't tell me, Team Canada is disqualified by me." And PD just doesn't care. He's like, "I don't care. You've been a thorn in my side ever since, I've been trying to get you into Team Canada. I should have never, got you, and he kind of keeps ranting and raving. He's like, eventually he's just like, "Show's gonna start. I'm dressed to wrestle. I'm going out to the ring. I want your ass out there now." And he storms off, and Bailey's looking at D'Lo, and D'Lo's like, "Might as well. I still got to figure out what to do with the World X Cup finals. Like, Team Canada is eliminated. You don't have a match otherwise, so you might as well." And Bailey just kind of shrugs and goes off to the ring too, and that's how we end the pre-show segment rating of 34, advancing the storyline. So, we are explaining that TDT has been suspended. Um, Full disclosure, this was actually kind of really close to the original plan. Aussie Open's absence uh, actually kind of made this make more sense because when I signed TDT, I saw that they had an IWS show this day. Likely we could have still used them, but I was going to basically do the same angle where but instead of suspending TDT, they were going to be held up at the border and couldn't make the show. D'Lo Brown was going to still disqualify Team Canada. PD was going to challenge Mike Bailey for the pay-per-view. But now that we had the Aussie Open thing happen, we can actually, explain away TDT while also explaining why Aussie Open uh, also wasn't going to be there in the first place. I didn't have them booked for tonight. So that actually kind of works in a kayfabe sort of way that, we gave TDT a suspension instead of them being held up at the border, uh, a reason to be suspended. And I didn't have Aussie Open booked anyway. Uh, but we'll see how the X Cup plays out tonight at Final Resolution. We start off the pay per view with PD Williams versus Mike Bailey. Basically, they do uh, the opening, and by the time the opening's done, PD Williams is already in the ring, and Mike Bailey makes his entrance. Um, but in the end, Mike Bailey defeating PD Williams in 12:08 with an Ultima Weapon. Segment rating 44. I was kind of worried, especially considering PD's recent performance issues. He has a 38. Mike Bailey with a 47. PD's been rusty. I don't know if he still is. Um, he probably still has. He was inconsistency and a poor gimmick. So and inconsistency. So at least he's not rusty or declining physically, which I think it was rust that had gotten him popped the last couple performances. But them they delivered. Storyline continuing and gaining heat, so that's good. But PD Williams dropping down the challenge to Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey getting the win once again. So PD winning Mike Bailey as his ringer ended up being like their Team Canada's downfall. Team Canada again being disqualified from the World X Cup. And after the match, we go back to D'Lo Brown and Gia Miller. Gia Miller interviewing D'Lo Brown, and Gia's like, "Well, I hate to put you on the spot, but the show started. You had a little breather. You had, Mike Bailey and Petey Williams kind of just bought you some time, but the show started, and we have the X Cup to go. Well, what are you gonna do?" And D'Lo's like, "I think I got it. I think I got it." So, as you guys know, as what happened earlier on the pre-show, Team Canada, due to the behavior of Petey Williams and TDT, they have been disqualified. TDT has been suspended. They are not here tonight. Team Canada has no team. They're disqualified. As for Team Australia, Aussie Open is not here tonight, but they have been here due to unjust means. And they currently lead over both Team USA and Team Mexico 6 points. Team Australia has 6 points. Team USA and Team Mexico have 5 points. So I'm going to give Team Australia a bye to the finals due to the actions of Team Canada. So what that means for Team USA and Team Mexico, and they are getting ready right now. Team USA and Team Mexico. Thankfully, Team Mexico had an alternate in Gotita de Platas due to Commander being taken out earlier in the night. So Team Mexico is still, full capacity. We're going to do a 6-man tag, Team USA versus Team Mexico. with the lieutenants and the tag teams. The team that wins that 6-man, the captain of that team will go on to face Buddy Matthews later tonight to crown the World X Cup in a one-on-one match, captain versus captain. So we have team, to reiterate once again, Team Mexico versus Team USA, 6-man tag. Whoever wins that, the captain who is not in that match, they will go on to face Buddy Matthews, who was given a bye to the finals, to crown the World X Cup. So segment rating of 28 for that. Thankfully, Gia Miller didn't bring it down too much, but segment rating of 28. And then I think we have that match next. Yep. So Team USA of Willie Mack and Rep 419 defeating Team AAA of Laredo Kid, Gotita de Plata, and Astrolux. So Trey Miguel pinning Astrolux with a Meteora following a turn by Gotita de Plata. So what happens is that uh Astrolux, after, well, it's been 9:57 after, like, most of the match. Astrolux going for a tag. Gotita de Plata is reaching out. Laredo Kid's reaching out. But Gotita de Plata drops off the apron. The alternate dropping off the apron. Laredo Kid, um, in maybe what could be a stupid move, gets in Gotita de Plata's face and basically commands him to get back in the match. Gotita de Plata basically just flips Laredo Kid off and leaves. But while this is happening, Astrolux is without a partner, so he gets pinned. And Team USA go on to the finals to face Team Australia. We are going to turn Gotita de Plata heel now. Turn was a success. So Gotita de Plata, who, sat on the sidelines as the alternate, turned heel, cost Team Mexico their shot at the World X Cup. So we'll see what happens with that, if anything. But Sam Beal with a 31, he was off his game. Trey Miguel with a 41, Willie Mack with a 40, Asher Lux with a 34, Gotita with a 34, Laredo with a 47. Wow. I'm pretty sure I had this as a high spots match, so Laredo Kid would do, good in that match. But yeah. So what this means is that team captain Swerve Strickland of Team USA will face the Team Australia captain of Buddy Matthews later tonight in singles action, the winner of which will crown what team wins the World X Cup. Segment rating of 41 for this match, so that actually, did well for us. And that, this a brief segment to just put over what I said. Later tonight, we'll get Buddy Matthews versus Swerve Strickland, and whoever, wins that wins the World X Cup. Segment rating of 30 for that. Brody King versus Jake something in the last Rites match. So we have I didn't do like a special entrance, but imagine Father Bateman leading out some druids, bringing out a casket. Um, this is basically just a casket match. We're not going to do like where the casket floats off into the sky afterward. Just whoever gets in the casket first loses. I know, I don't know. They had I know recently they've done it and they've just put the casket at the top of the ramp, so maybe that'll makes the most sense. Or maybe they've just put it at ringside somewhere. But we have Father Bateman. He comes out, dressed up as, his priest gimmick, doing the whole incense ball thing, leading out a casket, and then eventually Brody King makes his entrance solo. So does Jake something. We go to I probably did this as a wild brawl, but in the end, it's Jake something defeating Brody King. In 9:37, Brody King gets into the coffin. What happens though before then? At one point, Brody King does have the upper hand and goes to open the coffin to put Jake something in, but PCO comes out. PCO, back from the dead, starting off his retirement with a run in. Uh, he doesn't necessarily, well, he probably attacks Brody King, gets a few shots in, but basically PCO runs off Father Bateman so that it just ends up being Brody King versus Jake something, beating the shit out of each other. Whoever locks the other in a casket wins, and in the end, it's Jake something putting Brody King in the casket, gaining heat, but also ending the storyline. Brody with a 47, Jake with a 45, so that gets a 41. I know like these penalizations. Well, we did mayhem. Um, dun, 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 dun. Really only getting penalized for unable to use spinal impact moves. So I'm probably going to change that here with the new year because I'm feeling like that's our main. Like this should have at least gotten like a 45, 46 maybe. Um, Instead it got a 41, which is still decent, but should have done better considering, the performances of Brody and Jake. But Jake winning the last rights match nonetheless, ending the feud. Jake moving on, hopefully to bigger, better things. We'll see what happens with Brody and Father Bateman. Now that PCO's have run Father Bateman off, at least for the time being. And after the match, Jake something celebrates. So, segment ring 43. Basically have him like standing on the casket while Brody King's like trying to pound his way out. But Jake something getting the win. We get a promo for Chuckie T. I don't necessarily remember. I think I just booked this just to get a Chuckie T promo on the show. As you can see, 61, which did really good. Improvising well throughout the segment, benefiting from a hot catchphrase. I don't necessarily have a set promo for him, but I kind of just imagine he's going into the handicap match with Mance Warner and Danhausen, and I basically just have him running them down, insulting them until they eventually make their entrances to the ring and start the match. But Chuckie T has been a thorn in both their sides, or he probably thinks they're a thorn in his side. But basically just running his mouth until the match starts. And in the end, Chuckie T defeating Mance Warner and Danhausen in a handicap match. Chuckie T pinning Danhausen. I wouldn't say using a foreign object unless the foreign object was the Danhausen's briefcase. But the handicap match odds were evened up as while Mance Warner was at ringside during one point in the match, someone I wouldn't say leaps over the guardrail, but basically grabs Mance over the guardrail, throws him over the guardrail into the crowd and starts beating him up while security swarms the ring. But Mance Warner seems to fight back with this person. Anyone who would know or anyone who watches the indies knows that this person is John Wayne Murdoch. So John Wayne Murdoch basically bought a ticket to Impact and came to beat up Mance Warner. Whether that was called upon by Chuckie T or not, maybe remains to be seen. But that basically meant Mance Warner was a non-factor in this match. Ended up being a one-on-one match, Chuckie T versus Danhausen, and it did not work well for Danhausen. Chuckie T pinning Danhausen by cheating. Chuckie T carrying the match in terms of ring performance. Danhausen was the weak link. He was also off his game. Chuckie T with the 51, Mance Warner with a 40, Danhausen with a 30. John Wayne Murdoch debuting a badass gimmick and has got an initial rating of very good. So Badass gimmick, large boost to microphone, can be penalized for losing to a comedy gimmick. Um, Hopefully we shouldn't have that problem. I don't know if Danhausen's gimmick is necessarily a comedy gimmick, but I don't know if they'll cross paths. But basically, ending this storyline as well, Chuckie T with Mance and Danhausen. I was considering uh, basically this is to break off Mance Warner with John Wayne Murdoch. They are going to have a program uh, from here on out. I was considering continuing this with Chuckie T and Danhausen just by themselves, but like at this point, Chuckie is like so much more over that we probably should move him on to something more substantial. So Chuckie T maybe proving that he doesn't need friends, but we don't necessarily know what John Wayne Murdoch's motives are. Was he called in by Chuckie T to even things up? Does this just, John Wayne Murdoch, acting on his own? We don't know yet. I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon. But segment rating of 45 for the match. And afterwards, we basically, as Chuckie T is celebrating his win, cameras catch up backstage. Mance Warner and John Wayne Murdoch slugging it out. They have to be pulled apart. The match is over. Mance doesn't care. All he knows is that John Wayne Murdoch, of all people, dragged him over the guardrail and just started pounding the crap out of him, and just a fight ensues and has to be pulled apart. So that's kind of what we're starting them out with. Segment rating of 34 for that. And to crown the first ever Triple Impact champions, it's Dalton Castle and the boys defeating Juice Robinson and Power and Finesse in 12 minutes 20 seconds when Dalton Castle pins Juice Robinson with the bangerang. So Dalton Castle and the boys, the first champions. As you know, if you tuned in the last episode of Impact, Dalton Castle suffering a backstage attack without the boys to save him. So he was definitely the team probably overall fighting from behind. Definitely Dalton Castle, coming into this match wounded. But in the end, it was Dalton Castle overcoming, pinning Juice Robinson, the person who's kind of got him in this mess. So Juice and Power and Finesse not getting their goal of becoming first time champions. Instead, that belt goes to Dalton Castle and the boys. Boy number one was off his game, really off his game, but everyone doing pretty well other than, Boy 2 36, Boy 1 33, Dalton 48, Will Hobbs 40, Chris Bay 46, Juice Robinson 45. So after the match, Dalton Castle and the boys are given the belts. They celebrate. Power and Finesse just kind of knowing that they've kind of are just kind of like in a mercenary role here for Juice. They just kind of leave him like, they didn't win, the job wasn't done, so they just walk off. They'd leave him. So it's basically Juice Robinson in the ring alone, and he ends up throwing a tantrum and attacking the referee. Um, a heel turn was hinted, but this is the way we're going to turn him heel now. I hope is. Yeah, he's been building it up for 6 segments. Okay, good. So we are turning Juice Robinson heel here, with by him attacking the referee. Segment rating of 34. Um, I didn't really know how else to turn him, unless it was like to bring in some heels for him to ally with. But considering the storyline here was he was having trouble finding partners to begin with, uh, it's just Juice turning him heel. Um, Probably in a more having him more in line with his real life gimmick where he's just kind of just yelling and screaming all the time instead of we kind of had him as a like a fun loving um face, but that's gone by the wayside, and the losses here have been probably driving him mad. Him not being able to get one over on Dalton Castle, not being able to find partners to side with, and him not becoming champion just made him snap, and just, the referee was there to feel the brunt of it. But a segment rating of 34 for the heel turn of Juice Robinson. All right, so now we got our World X Cup finals. Team Australia versus Team USA. Buddy Matthews of Team Australia and the captain of Team USA, the X Division champion Swerve Strickland. In somewhat might consider an upset, it's Buddy Matthews pinning Swerve Strickland by pinfall with a fast roll up. Um, More of like a flash roll up, no, like handful of tights. So he won clean, but I guess it was just a case of, Buddy got Swerve in, a state of, maybe being distracted or whatever, and Swerve wasn't able to kick out of a pinfall fast enough. Then, all it takes is 3 seconds and the match is over. And that's what happened here. Buddy Matthews pinning the X Division champion, winning the World X Cup for Team Australia. The X Division championship not on the line here, but you gotta believe, like, I would have to double check Swerve's record, but I don't think he's been pinned at all. In Impact, he might have suffered like tag team losses, but I don't know if he himself has ever been pinned um, since he's come to Impact. But this is it. Buddy Matthews is able to do it, so you gotta believe that's gonna put him in a spot to challenge for the X Division title. Uh, and also them winning the World X Cup. So segment rating of 42. Buddy Matthews with a 39, Swerve with a 55, storyline gain advancing with the segment. Kind of low numbers for Buddy, but Swerve Strickland delivering as always. Let me see. Stamina, Swerve was for stamina, and consistency for Buddy, but otherwise good. Yeah. So, and I think we might, segment rating of 42. I think we just have like a celebration segment. Yeah. Buddy Matthews celebrates his win. You can imagine Jonah's there too. Like I said, Aussie Open, not there. Um, and you can kind of see my original plan. Like Aussie Open was never really there. Just the 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 plan for the World X Cup. This was always the plan. This was always the plan for Buddy Matthews to get the upset win over Swerve in the end. Um, it didn't necessarily need Aussie Open or Jonah to be there. But you kind of imagine that at least Jonah is there at ringside. Well, if I put Jonah at ringside, I might have. But so it could be just Jonah and Buddy Matthews celebrating the team Australia win for the World X Cup. Um, yeah, really Aussie Open, like I said, wasn't originally planned to be here tonight. All that their absence really did was mess up my plans for Last Impact, and all that was a four way, turned a four-way tag into a four-way single. So just had to pivot a little bit. Otherwise, that the World X Cup really came off without a hitch. So, yeah, Buddy, team captain of Team Australia, taking home the gold. And Team Australia's first entry into the World X Cup, and they win it. So, you know, good news for them. Segment rating of 37. Then we get Eddie Edwards versus Lance Archer. Eddie Edwards defeating Lance Archer in 10-13 by pinfall with a diehard driver. Um, at one point, Ace Austin distracted Edwards, but yeah, I'm kind of looking at the numbers. Segment rating of 39. This should have done a lot better. Especially when you look at their numbers. Eddie Edwards with a 48 and Lance Archer with a 52. Like I didn't necessarily have plans for him. There's no storyline attached, which might be the main negative, but like I just kind of had them to put in a brawl, and that's what they did. It's just that there was no real storyline. Bonus. Again, spinal impact moves. Lance Archer for declining physical ability, lack of associated storyline. Yeah, that's probably the kicker there. And I didn't really want a storyline because I'm probably going to be splitting these, Eddie Edwards and Lance Archer off to do separate things. Austin or Archer and Austin, do pretty well as a team. Eddie Edwards needs to do something, and this is kind of pushing him into the limelight a little bit more. A win over someone as big of a hoss as Lance Archer, should be a big feather in his cap and some momentum for yeah, see, they got bonuses for, yeah, going all out, high morale, being an amazing heel for Lance Archer, you know. So a win, Eddie Edwards getting a win over Lance should do well. It's just that there was no real story. So that hurt. See, we probably should have got like closer to a 50 with that if there was a storyline, but there wasn't. So, yeah, kind of disappointing there. Maybe if we had built this up instead of just it being a one-off, it would have been closer to like a 50 or something. But I don't know. That bums me out. You just want a good match, and it's a decent match. And if you just saw this on TV, you'd probably think it was awesome and not necessarily care whether there was only like a week or two build. So I don't know. That bums me out. But we'll move on. After the match, we go backstage, or this probably could be promo done out. Yeah, let's just say this was done out in the ring after um, the BFFs, the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green, cutting a promo. They're kind of talking about how the next match being the tag team match, the Impact Tag Team titles, but since there's no competition for them for the Knockouts Tag Team titles, they don't have a match tonight. And they kind of talk about how they should retire these belts since there's no competition and be proclaimed forever Knockouts Tag Team titles. The promos interrupted by Mickie James. Mickie James runs out, but um, it seems like she's gonna run out to attack, but Gail Kim like is right behind her, running out, and kind of is able to hold her back, pull her out of the ring before she's able to do anything. And Gail has a microphone, and she's like, kind of like, "You two need to leave. You're not making things any better. No, I'm not getting you. I'm not retiring those belts. I'm getting you. I'm in the process of getting you competition. You had a match at Impact a couple nights ago defending the belts. You won. Whoop de doo. Mickie James, you're my friend. I gave you that match last week or 2 nights ago, and unfortunately you lost. She brought in get Dana Brooke as her mystery partner, and they lost. So Gail's like, you just need to calm down. I can't just go and give you another match. You lost. You took the pin in that match, and I just can't get you another match. So you just need to calm down, hang back. Let me take care of these two sniveling brats, and I will get them the competition that they so desperately want. But trust me, once be careful what you wish for. I will get you the competition, and you're there is no way you are going to hold those belts forever. So that's basically Gail Kim's stance. Mickie just kind of wants at them, and um, Deanna and Chelsea are likely taunting them both. They're the ones with the belts. They're the ones with the power. No one can beat them. There's no one necessarily around that can beat them. We'll see about that. But segment rating of 38 for that. And then we go to the tag team title match. Motor City Machine Guns defending against Heath and Rhyno. Heath and Rhyno being the underdogs in this match. Uh, like we've put, in recent weeks, Heath and Rhyno have had singles matches against the champs and lost them both. Um, so it seemed like they would be underdogs, but and Rhyno having a kind of like a dip in confidence, having to have a pep talk by Heath last week or a couple days ago on Impact, having to be propped up, believing that they are stronger together than they are separate. But they're also going against, the so-called best team in Impact history. In the end, Heath and Rhyno getting the win. Heath pinning Alex Shelley with a Miller's Crossing. I don't know what that would be, but that was probably like his I don't know, his back slam or whatever. But yeah, after 14 minutes, Heath pinning Alex Shelley. And kind of imagine like Chris Sabin running in to break up the pin, but gets gored by Rhyno, so cut off at the last second. The underdogs winning the titles for the first time, no less. They had teamed up. They've had off and on, Heath's was injured earlier, like, before this year. Rhyno was in Violent by Design, but they've come back together, and they've come back strong, and they were able to do the unthinkable and defeat the Motor City Machine Guns for the titles, ending the storyline. Sabin with a 51, he was really off his game. Shelley with a 63, Heath with a 38, Rhyno with a 42, and then we get the numbers for the bonuses for Motor City Machine Guns being such a established team. But in the end, Heath and Rhyno defeating the Guns for the tag team titles, segment rating of 52. After the match, we get Heath and Rhyno celebrating with the belts. Well, they're celebrating. The Motor City Machine Guns go to like the timekeeper. They do the thing where they take the belts and they kind of look them over and they do the right thing. They do the responsible thing. The Guns have been dicks in recent months, but they've been faces the whole time. I have, like I said, I've been like I was teasing the possibility of turning them heel, but they've just kind of been acting heelish, but they've never full blown turned into heels, and uh, they aren't going to tonight. They do the right thing. They give the belts over to Heath and Rhyno, and at one point, like they hug Rhyno because they have the Detroit connection, and he's just kind of like standing there and clapping. But then the Guns come in and let Heath in on the hug fest. So everyone's happy. Heath and Rhyno, our new tag team champions. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin go out gracefully. Well, they don't go out. They're still going to be around. They're just not tag team champions anymore. But they lose the belts gracefully. Everyone loves each other. Um, segment rating of 42 for that. And then we get another title match. This time it's the Knockouts Championship title match. So Bianca Blair defending against Tasha Steelz. Tasha earning her title shot in recent weeks. Out there by herself. She does not have Mercedes Martinez out there. Um, she has just kind of been not wanting to take heed of Mercedes' advice and has just kind of like darted out and been doing her own thing lately. Um, Not necessarily away from the group, but just she's sees that she's close to becoming Knockouts champion and doesn't want anything to get in that way. But not her night tonight. Bianca Blair defeating Tasha Steelz in 12:28 with a KOD. Bianca Blair's first defense of the Impact Knockouts title. Segment rating 43, so decent. I kind of expected Bianca to do better here, but this was really going to, I wouldn't say a case of carrying Tasha Steelz, but the fact that we haven't totally built her up to that level yet. This was kind of this, this was a foregone conclusion. Bianca was going to win. Uh, Tasha was going to lose. She just does not have that experience yet. Maybe someday she will, but I figured Bianca's number would be better. But it's still, Sigma rating 43 and Bianca doing only a 42 did, that's better. We didn't get penalized too badly, so I guess Bianca's got a legendary gimmick, so I guess that's kind of why I've been expecting Bianca to do better. She got charisma, star quality, and a legendary gimmick, so kind of figured her numbers would be better. But regardless, Bianca Blair successfully retaining the Impact Knockouts title. After the match, she celebrates when she is interrupted by the returning Jordynne Grace. So those video packages the last couple weeks of Jordynne Grace returning from uh, her injury. Now official Jordynne Grace is back and she comes into the ring. She gets straight in Bianca Blair's face and she points at that Knockouts title and she's like, that's coming around my waist next time. So um maybe not an official challenge, but I'm sure we'll get one soon. Bianca Blair and Jordynne Grace likely to face off in the near future for that belt, so that should be a good one. Segment rating of 44 for that. Bianca Blair getting better at her legendary gimmick. And then I think we have the main event next, so I don't want to click on it now. I'm going to describe the main event. I don't want to spoil anything right here, but we got Christian Cage defending the Impact World title against Josh Alexander. We have special guest enforcer Jeff Jarrett at ringside with the guitar, the Last Outlaw, with his cowboy hat and duster and guitar, proceeding at ringside. And also, if Josh Alexander does not win tonight, he cannot challenge for the Impact World title at all in the year 2023. So they go to the match, and at one point, I think it was like, I think Christian goes for the kill switch. It gets reversed by Josh Alexander, but Christian pushes Alexander into the ref. We get a ref bump. Um, Josh goes to check on the ref. Christian dips out and dips back in with the world title belt. And he is rearing back to ready to hit Alexander with the belt. And that's when Jeff Jarrett slides in with his guitar as the special enforcer. And we get a repeat of how last month's uh, pay per view ended, where we have Christian ready to hit Josh Alexander with the title belt, and Jeff Jarrett standing in between them with the guitar. And he rears back at Christian with the guitar, but then turns around and plants Josh Alexander with the belt or with the guitar. So Jeff Jarrett had turned on Christian Cage. That's not necessarily the end of the match. Once Jeff Jarrett gets the referee awake, um, Josh Alexander is able to kick out from the guitar shot. And Christian, after Josh takes the guitar shot, Christian drops the title and kind of like points at his head, and like knows that he was behind it the whole time. So he doesn't need to plant Josh Alexander with the title because Jeff Jarrett already did with the guitar. But Christian goes for the pin, and Josh is able to kick out just barely. But he's got like, once he realizes what just happened, he sees Jeff Jarrett at ringside, and Jeff's like, no, no, you're supposed to go down. And Josh kind of like, it's a mix of rage and sadness because he knows that he just got turned on by Jeff Jarrett, and he doesn't like just outright say why, but like in the look in his eyes is like, Jeff, why did you do that? And but by that time, Christian Cage lifts Josh Alexander back up, plants him with the kill switch. 1, 2, 3. That gets the win. Christian Cage retains the Impact World title. Screwed over by Jeff Jarrett. And Josh Alexander cannot challenge for the world title in the next year. So segment rating of 42. I was kind of worried again running this back. Josh with a 45, Christian with a 36. Um, we are ending the storyline here. Lost Heat somehow. The match was a little too long. I think I had this 19, so almost 20 minutes as a spectacle match, but good psychology for everything. Legendary gimmick for Josh Alexander. But yeah, lots of penalties. Struggling to perform for a slow build for Christian Cage. Struggling with the psychology for a slow build for Josh Alexander, and for a spectacle. Both penalized for stamina. So we could have, run this a little bit longer, but considering this is like the big blow off to this feud, and also the big uh heel turn for Jeff Jarrett, turn was a success. So Jeff Jarrett turning heel on his, the man who retired him, Josh Alexander. It was likely a ploy all along. And, as we end the show with a 49, basically we end the show with the still champion Christian Cage and Jeff Jarrett allied, celebrating, putting one over on Josh Alexander. Just the two of them posing at the top of the ramp on the stage while Josh Alexander just kind of, remains in the ring and kind of realizes how screwed over he just got. The the world title, the thing that means the most to him, and he can't get near it for another year. So that's how we end the show, with Jeff Jarrett turning heel and allying with the world champ Christian Cage. Segment rating of 49 for that. Overall, a 46. So not bad. I don't know how that puts us with the rest of our pay-per-views, but we didn't lose popularity. We gained it in 26 regions. Maybe we could have done a little better if Eddie Edwards and Lance Archer did better. Um, yeah, Heath. I don't know if I realized Heath and Rhyno versus the Guns got a 52 overall rating. That might be like a contender for like a match. Uh, Definitely match of the show. Unless you count Chuckie T's promo, which was a 61, that might be like a all-timer segment. But yeah, really solid show overall. We got Team Australia winning the X Cup. We got Jake Something ending his feud with Brody King. Chuckie T being a dick as usual, but also the debut of John Wayne Murdoch. We got the first ever Triple Impact champions in Dalton Castle and the Boys. New tag team champions, Bianca Blair, and retaining the Knockouts title, and likely going to face Jordan Grace for it here pretty soon. And Christian Cage and Jeff Jarrett with their alliance. So let's make a speech. Chuckie T, we thanked Chuckie T last week or last month, but he gave us our let's so we thanked Rosemary, Bianca, and Chuckie last month, and Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin for Bound for Glory. We haven't thanked Heath and Rhyno. We should thank Heath and Rhyno. They got the belts. Heath, Rhyno. They didn't have like a great performance, but they're kind of carried by the guns in that one. But we'll give them hugs. They've stuck it out. They deserve it. Um, we haven't thanked Josh Alexander at all in these. We should give Josh Alexander a hug because we kind of put him in a shitty situation. He's not, we could book him to eh, you know, stipulation. We could book him out of it, but I plan on sticking to it. So Josh Alexander not going to get a, we'll give him on a good performance. He did a he did better than Christian at least in that match. So like no one really did great on this show except for maybe the guns, but that's to be expected. Um yeah, we'll give hugs and compliment on good performance for Josh. Heath is pleased, Rhino's pleased, Josh is pleased. So that makes the end of Final Resolution. Um Thanks for watching. A little bit. So we have one more show for the rest of the year. We have one episode of Impact. And this might be one of the last episodes I do of Impact for on YouTube, like totally. I still haven't decided yet. I think I might do pay-per-views only, or at least uh like a lead up episode and then a pay-per-view episode. I'm not going to do regular TEW Impact videos from here on out. So this might be the last video for a while. Um Not this one, the next episode of Impact, but um it might be a bit before that comes out because what I'm going to do, since it's the end of the year, I am going to do an award show. And the awards are going to be picked by you, whoever is watching this. I have like I'm going to put a poll up and I'll put up a video once that's finally up. But I'm going to put polls up for like, match of the year, wrestlers of the year, just gimmicks. And I'm gonna put a poll up and leave those up for like a week or two and then factor them in the results into the next episode as a year end episode for Impact. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully I'll have that up sooner than later. Um I already have like almost all of it done. I just needed to do this show to factor these results into so like some of these matches and like probably that tag team match will probably go in as a contender for match of the year, um, stuff like that. So I wanted to get Final Resolution in and factor that into the polls for the end of the year. Once those are up, I will put up another video, and I'll probably go through the all the stuff in that video. But till then, keep an eye out for the end of the year and maybe one of the last videos I do, at least regarding Impact, or at least a regular video. So, yeah, till then, thanks for watching. Uh, Once I get the polls up, make sure you participate in those. Um, and yeah, thanks.